Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out today. It was an exciting atmosphere for our guys. We practice every day in Caston Gymnasium by ourselves, so anytime we get the opportunity to be around some of our fans, and a bunch of our players' parents were here today, which was terrific. Thank you to Steve Novak and Jarrell McNeil for being the dignitaries in the building. I thought it was a good competitive setting. Anytime you're going, half your team against the other half, there's a fatigue level that sets in. That definitely occurred today. I told the guys afterward, a lot of those players were tired against tired. But those are good reps for us, and I thought we got a lot out of today.
I think anybody watching today would be impressed with NJ. Like, just behind the scenes, what has stood out the most about him in the couple months he's been here?
Well, he's just got great energy. He brings the juice, as we like to say. He's been highly competitive. He's got a really good mind for the game. He asks a lot of questions about, how should we do this? How should we do that? I think he understands as a freshman, he's not going to play perfect. He's going to make some mistakes, but he's gotten much, much better at moving on from that and just getting to the next play. And then when he does that, he's, right around the corner from doing something spectacular because he's an athletic guy. He's got a good feel for the game. He's good at stopping and starting, and he can really pass and create for others.
I know that Sean wasn't playing today, but when the season comes around and you get his speed back, you get the other speed back, how do you press the advantage that sort of gives you playing quick?
Well, that's been one of our biggest points of emphasis. We talk about our most important advantages a lot as a team, and one of them is playing with great speed and pace. And those two guys, along with Chase Ross, have been the primary engines of that, and they've done a good job. There'll be times where we might even play them together. But we want to get that ball up the floor as fast as we can. We want to get the ball in the paint as fast as we can. And NJ and Sean, all preseason long, have done a great job of that.
What about if the game slows down to a half-court game? Like, how do you envision the offense working that way?
Well, and there's most of the possessions are going to be in the half court, although, we want to be stubborn about seeing how many we can get, in transition. But, we've got a lot of things we do in the half court, too. We want to get to multiple actions. We want to get the ball in the hands of guys on the floor after having the defense has to guard several different actions where they can attack closeouts. Got a lot of different ways to do that. You saw Caden today. He's a unique engine for us because he's got size. He can handle the ball. He can pass the ball, and he's gotten a lot better finishing around the basket. So he's someone we'll utilize as well as a playmaker.
You guys lost scoring this year, but then you see the first years come in, and I think every single first year scored a three. Just how much confidence does that give you that these new guys are coming in and they can give you points?
Well, this class reminds me a lot of a rambunctious group that came in 4 years ago, and had a lot of potential and a lot of energy and a lot of character about them. And this group, I think talent-wise actually is maybe a little bit ahead of where those guys were as freshmen. And even you saw Sheik. He's been here for a matter of weeks, and he's really learned quickly. He's caught on quite a bit. But, whether it's Mike or Ian, Adrian, NJ, all those guys have had some really good moments so far in the preseason. They are all on different stages of their own journey. We always tell them comparison's the thief of joy, so everyone's is going to be different. But, I think particularly the two freshman guards, NJ and Adrian, the good thing with them is they do come in physically with a profile that can handle, Big East physicality. They're not skinny. And so that's important. But I think all those guys have a bright future.
Speaking of that guardian class, you got to fill the 45 points per game, 3 of them left behind. What did you see from today that tells you that those points can be filled?
Well, we're playing against ourselves today, so to be honest with you, every time we score, I'm half happy and I'm half mad. But I thought that, NJ did a really good job creating offense for us. He's one half of our ultra quick little guys. So when we have both those guys out there, I think we'll be able to put a level of nonstop pressure on the paint. And now we got to make great decisions when we get in there to get the ball to the right guys, to create closeouts, to create open shots. We do have a lot of different guys that, in theory can make shots. Now it comes down to doing it in the moment when you're open. But I think we'll be able to create a lot of closeouts with who we have. Chase will be able to create a lot as well. And then, we also want to continue to get better on the offensive glass. Each year we've inched our way forward. I don't know if we're going to be confused with, the best offensive rebounding team in the country, but we're getting better with it each year we have, and I think this year we can take another step.
BG was talking about the growth of Caden's competitiveness. Just how have you seen that aspect change for him?
Caden's been so bought in with his approach towards growth, and first and foremost as a person, because I think he realized coming in here that the belief in himself, the resiliency, the ability to handle hard things, that stuff had to be addressed and improved before we could even talk about making jump hooks or getting rebounds. And he's been terrific. We've spent a ton of time together. Probably Caden, I would say, along with Chase Ross, probably we spent the most time together, Sean Jones, of any player. And he's just been really, really willing to be highly receptive of how he can grow. He's worked his butt off. I've really tried to get him to understand the connection between his finishing and ball handling, those things together. And he's really done a great job getting down there on a regular basis, whether it's an on day or an off day, getting down there on his own and working on those two things. So it's exciting. I mean, you saw his aggressiveness very first play of the game, trying to dunk the ball. I also thought Josh had a lot of really good moments, especially when you compare him to where he was, most of last year. I think he's stronger. He's a little more confident. He still has a ton to learn, but remember, we're talking about a guy who's got 4 seasons to play, including this one. So his best basketball is definitely ahead of him.
Ben was talking about this thing that you guys brought in that shows like your skeleton when you move.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a little bit more about that and what that is?
Well, we have a gentleman that works across the street in the AHPRC who is an expert in sports science, among other aspects of, the cross-section between the body and sports and performance, Michael Kiley. And he does a phenomenal job. He actually was a big part of Sean's rehab process because he's worked with hundreds, maybe even thousands of athletes that have recovered from that injury and different sports. And so what he did is he set up this machine, high-tech machine, and basically had the guys do a few different basketball movements, and then the machine measures how they move, and you can actually see like the skeletal outline of them moving. It's kind of like a sci-fi thing of them, and you can see if you go really slow where maybe inefficiencies are in their movements, or a guy like Chase Ross, Zayd Lowry, there are better movers. You can see why, just because of the way their levers move compared to maybe other guys. And it's helped Ben. Ben's become a better mover with some of the coaching that Todd Smith and Michael Kiley have provided just through movement and then some of the stuff they do in the weight room.
Can you talk about with Josh Clark, how he's going to change your defense this year? You have a rim protector as opposed to Ben, who is more of a tall rebounder, more athletic. But it looked like he was blocking a shot and starting your break. And does that allow you to put more pressure on, and he can play a little matador knowing that he's back there?
Josh he's definitely unique compared to anyone we've had. Probably closest would be Kirk Weth, our first year here, in terms of like a legitimate shot blocker. Now remember, a little over a year ago, Josh Clark didn't have one scholarship offer. It was May of his senior year, and we decided to bring him in here to redshirt. And he's going into year 2 of his 5-year process here. He's made major jumps, major growth and improvement. I do think he gives us rim protection that we don't have if he's not in the game. I'm excited about that group of forwards. Josh, Caden, Ben, Royce, and Sheik. Sheik's going to redshirt this year. But those 5 guys, both what they can do in our practice gym now and to contribute to winning now, and also what those guys are moving towards, is very, very exciting at Marquette.